Not the best week of news for Donald Trump and his inner and outer circle of cronies and goons this week. So few bits of updates on January 6th and all of that we want to give you. One is that the Supreme Court has, I think once again, for like the 10th time, rejected a request that was put in by the former president to block the release of White House records that might shed light on what was going on and in the run up to January 6th. The order, which cast aside Trump's request to stop the House Select Committee, the January 6th Commission, we call it colloquially, from obtaining the records while the case makes its way through the courts, means that more than 700 documents that could shed light on the attack can be transferred to Congress. I'm assuming he doesn't want them to have access to read any documents that he himself has not read, and he has certainly not read any of those 700. Trump's defeat in court also allows the Select Committee to obtain from the National Archives some of the most sensitive White House records from his administration, including call logs. That is potentially interesting. Daily presidential diaries, please let me see those, and handwritten notes and memos from his top aides. So again, like I really do feel like they have done this many times at this point, but he keeps trying to stop it, Francesca. And as of right now, the committee is going to get access to some of those documents.
Here's the question. How many Diet Cokes did he order within the span of 4 hours while he was watching the insurrection unfold and laughing giddily? Did it go down his nose and he had to he was coughing for a while and he was like, get me a napkin like that, that's what I imagine happening. Here's the thing, Mr. Trumpy. You are not a private citizen when you're the president. Everything you do is on behalf of the American people, obviously, supposedly. I mean, your presidency was not like that. And so we have records of that. But your paper shredders cannot stop that. It's already been done. We done recorded you. Now it's just about, listening to it.
Exactly. Yeah, and hopefully maybe eventually having testimony from literally any of these people. They apparently are not going to comply. And so far, it seems like a strategy that the Dems are perfectly willing to let play out. But another update, more have been subpoenaed from the Trump circle. So 2 days ago, we found out that Rudy Giuliani and other members of what is called his legal team, I'm not sure if that's an accurate description of what was being brought to the table, but they have been subpoenaed. So it's him, he's his personal lawyer. You also have Jenna Ellis, who is famous for two things. One, drafting a memo on how Mr. Trump could invalidate the election results by exploiting an obscure law. The other is getting COVID from a Rudy Giuliani fart. You also have Sidney Powell, a lawyer who worked on many of the lawsuits with Mr. Giuliani. Ran an organization that raised millions of dollars based on fake claims that election machines were rigged and is legitimately one of the craziest people in America. Boris Epstein pursued allegations of election fraud in Nevada and Arizona and is said to have participated in a call with Mr. Trump on the morning of January 6th. So all of those people who are like part actual lawyers for the president, part graphic novel characters at this point are being subpoenaed. Although will almost certainly not testify unless they're facing very serious legal consequences that will probably not come because this is the Democrats. Let's remember.
John, do you obviously study political science? Does this, what point do they just get dragged out? And we see like Sidney Powell, the sort of Yeti in a Talbot's outfit being just like squawking and thrashing.
Well, generally, look, there's some great research has been done on this and how long it takes to drag a Yeti out. But no, like so in theory, they could put the force of law behind these subpoenas. That is possible, and I believe that they did with Steve Bannon. What feels like 2 months ago now, and there hasn't really been updates on. They can do that. Stephen Miller, remember, was really dancing around a question on Laura Ingraham about whether he would comply.
Right.
Like this sort of thing can happen. This is much more of a legal question than a poli-sci question, but we're gonna have to see. It's really, and there was reporting earlier this week that a lot of the Democrats on the panel feel like, well, I mean, we want to do a good job, but like, what about if the Republicans get in office? Then they might come at us. They're gonna anyway. That's like, well, what if they call us socialists? They're gonna,
They're gonna anyway.
But they might not pursue this because of that fear.
Can you imagine if a Republican won the White House again, just how much they would sick the entire, the Department of Justice would be no more. It'd be just like a the Department of Law and Order, and that's it. It would be sort of manned by, I don't know, raccoons or something. I know they're cute, but like they'd be fascist. But yeah, they tried to do that during the Trump presidency as well, which is just going after the people for going after you. Trying to hold accountable anyone trying to hold you accountable. It's just like this never ending, like, who's on first echo chamber of accountability. But yeah, you're right. I think Steve Bannon turned himself in because it seemed like some sort of knock down the door and drag him out situation was imminent. So I don't know. I would really like to see Rudy Giuliani. I wouldn't, because I feel like he wouldn't have had time to put on his pants and then be a whole thing. He'd be like, I was tucking in my shirt. Anyway, there's.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, you were wrong about one thing. It's some sort of raccoon predisposition to fascism. Dog Brain Cats says, raccoons are freaking anarcho-socialists and I won't hear anything else. Based on their compliance with trash can regulations, I would say yes, much more anarchists than fascists. But anyway.
You want me to talk about dogs? You know it would be dogs. Let's be real.
Maybe they're just following orders
all the time.
Wanted to be called
just following orders. Yeah, woof woof. Heard it all before. All right.
Anyway, you sounded so much like Cecily Strong there. That was weird. Maybe it was dogs that made me think of it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.